Caden.
I'm Eli.
I'm Jaden.
And we are Yahuwah in the Torah, and this is Youth for Yah. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We thank you guys for spending some time, spending your evening here, or morning, depending on where you are. But we appreciate you guys joining in as a family. We are going over Proverbs, and for those who have never joined this series, you guys, if this is your first time here, we welcome you guys for actually joining us and finding our videos. We thank you guys for wanting to learn the Torah, because that is a thing that most people don't want to do anymore, is learn the Torah. It's a very hated and touchy subject to most. They do not want to learn about it. They say it's on the cross, and it becomes a big argument and a hateful point towards most. So thank you guys so much for joining in. We appreciate your input. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Please put your questions in below. We will be responding to them as soon as we see them, and as soon as we can respond to them. If you guys have any prayer requests, please let us know. We love being able to pray for you guys. So if you guys have anything that needs to be prayed for, we ask that you put that in the comments. We ask that you, if you could be specific on what it is we need to pray for, we ask that you could put that in. But if not, that's totally fine. And as well as the Telegram group, which I believe is already in the description. And if you click there, there's a Telegram group that you guys can join. So we are going to begin in Proverbs 18.
The Grand Shalom, thank you for joining us. Alright, here we go.
Proverbs 19, verse 1. Better is the poor that walks his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool.
So when you are a poor person, when you are poor, you're a humble person. It says it's better to be humble than to be one who has perverse lips. And someone with perverse lips is going to speak blasphemies. It's someone that's going to speak wicked things that are not holy. And a poor person is not going to do that. It says it's better to be poor in your own integrity. It's better to walk uprightly and be poor than to be rich and have evil, lose your soul with your wealth because you are evil. Because Yahuwah will humble those who are rich and prideful. If they worship their own wealth, Yahuwah will strike them down. He says he will humble those who are lifted up.
Right here, perverse in your lips, Yahuwah will punish you. He will teach you not to be perverse.
Verse 2. Also, that his soul be without knowledge, it is not good, and he that hastens with his feet sins. The NIV says, desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way?
I'm going to read that out of mine, and for those that don't know, he's reading out of two different versions. We have the Sefer, which we have for download on a community post, which you guys can get from a community post, and he is also reading out the NIV and KJV, so all three of those here you guys can see up here, and the one I am reading out of is the Hallelujah Scriptures. So my Hallelujah Scripture says, also, desire without knowledge is not good, and he who hurries with his feet sins. So, we have something here that says, desire without knowledge. If you want to do something, if you're longing to do something without knowledge, you are going to sin because you are going to rush. If you rush something, you are going to end up in problems. If you have the knowledge of Yahuwah, if you don't ask Yahuwah for this guidance, you are going to end up sinning, trying to rush into something without waiting on his counsel.
And we can see that a lot of that happen. Remember when the king went up and he was supposed to go, he didn't wait for Yahuwah to go, king of Judah. He went up and ended up getting killed because he went up and did not wait. So that is what happened because he did not have the knowledge, he did not have the example. Tyler, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you can actually have some time with us.
Verse 3. The foolishness of man perverts his way, and his heart frets against Yahuwah. The NIV says, a person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their heart rages against Yahuwah.
Alright, I'm going to read that out of mine again. The foolishness of a man perverts his way, and his heart is wroth against Yahuwah. So the foolishness of man perverts his way. And what is the way? Eli, what is the way?
The way is the Torah.
Yeah, the way is the Torah. That is the way. That's why Yahuwah said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And anyone that comes, no one comes to the Father except through me, because he was the Torah made flesh. And this is the way. We have the way. He says, men pervert their way. The foolish of man perverts his way. And when they do that, when they pervert the way, they are taking and they are saying the scriptures, the scriptures that were made for us. If they're saying the Torah that was made is done away, and they rage against Yahuwah, they will lift up their pork and they will say, they will laugh and they will mock and they will say that's on the cross, that we can do as we want, and that is how you can rage against Yahuwah. Because when you are told that the Torah is still intact and you hate those words, you are raging against Yahuwah, because these were the words Yahuwah said. He said, if you love me, keep my commands. He said throughout the entire Bible. That's what Yahuwah said. So you are raging against Yahuwah. You are hating Yahuwah when you are hating his Torah.
Verse 4. Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. The NIV says, wealth attracts many friends, but even the closest friend of the poor person deserts them.
So wealth makes many friends because when you are very wealthy and very rich, people will come to you. You'll be able to bring people to you. You'll be able to flock to you because you have money and people want something from you. And if you have something to give them, they will be with you. But it says here that a rich man makes many friends, but they're not true friends. They're only there for something you have. But it says even a poor person, even his neighbor is gone from him. Even like the guy that lives next to him isn't even his friend. His closest friends desert them because they're poor. They have nothing to give. But the rich man always have friends. And when you have no money and they're not your friends anymore, you see that they were never true friends. So to be a true friend, you must love through all times. You must be there for that person even when they are poor. You must not be taking from them but giving them when they truly need it.
Verse 5. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall not escape. The NIV says, a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free.
So a false witness does not go unpunished. A false witness is a witness that lies about something, is someone that does not speak the truth. And they may not be punished on this earth, but definitely Yahuwah is watching. It says he watches all things. He will punish the false witnesses. He says, whoever breathes out lies, whoever speaks lies will not escape. And that's a scary thing for people that lie. There are things called habitual liars, and they continue on lying, and they lie just to lie. It is a thing they do for normal day living, is they lie, and that is something you have to be extremely careful of, is not getting into not getting into an addiction of lying. Even as crazy that sounds, there are people that will get into an addiction of lying, and they will just lie to lie. And if you are a liar, you will not go unpunished. Yahuwah wants just people. He does not want people getting punished for things they don't deserve, or he wants people getting punished for their sins. He does not want unjust weights and measurements. He wants right ruling to be done, and if you are lying about something, right ruling is not getting done.
Right, and if you don't get punished in this, Yahuwah will definitely do it. You must account for all your sins in this next life. So be ready to account for them. If you are sinning now and you don't get caught, Yahuwah will punish you, and he will make sure you get caught and punished for your sins.
Verse 6. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that gives gifts. The NIV says, many curry favor with a ruler, and every one is the friend of him, one who gives gifts.
So it says, again, as the people in power, people with riches, it says the people will scurry, they'll run to the prince, right? Because the prince is the son of the king. He will have something that they can give. They are only friends when they have gifts. You must be careful who your friends are and what they are. If they're not Torah keepers, if they're not there to truly help you, then they probably aren't too close to friends. If you have Torah keeper friends that are truly helping you, then those are your friends, the people in the Word. Like Yehoshua said, your mother and your brothers are here to see you, your family here to see you. He goes, who are my mother and brothers? Those who keep the Torah, and those are our brothers who keep the Torah. Everyone should be our brothers, but those especially closest to us, our closest brothers, are those who keep the Torah.
Verse 7. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him?
So again, there's something very important here where we have how the poor are hated. The poor is very hated due to not having what people want. If you become poor, say you are rich, see how fast your friends disappear. They don't want anything from you anymore. You have nothing to give them. They're not your friends anymore. They're not there for you.
He pursues them with words, yet they are wanting to him. The NIV says, the poor are shunned by all their relatives. How much more do their friends avoid them? Though the poor pursue them with pleading, they are nowhere to be found.
It says here, even the poor, their family and their true friends don't even want to be together because they're poor. They have nothing to give anymore. They've lost everything. And those are not true friends. If you really want to be a true friend, you must love through all adversity. You must be there with them when they are poor. You must be there when they're rich. You must be their friends. And you shouldn't be trying to suck off them like a leech. That's something bad you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be trying to drain them of everything they have because they have something to give. You should be their friend because they are your friend. Friendship is not about giving gifts. It's about being there for when they really need it.
And if you are poor, if you are living a poor life, in encouraging words, Yahuwah watches out for these people. He always tells throughout the Torah, throughout the Bible, to help the poor, to help the motherless. He just said he delights in the poor and the fatherless and the widows. He says he delights in all of those. He says those are his people and that we must take care of them. So he takes care of those people. He will never let you down, even in your poorness, even in your times of poor. He is never departed from you.
Verse 8. He that gets wisdom loves his own soul. He that guards understanding shall find good.
So here it talks about finding wisdom. Sorry, it was the lady that read the next verse. Go ahead and read that in the other version.
The NIV says, the one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper.
So it says the one who gets wisdom does it for himself. And why do we do that? Because we can protect ourselves. When we start reading the Torah, when we start getting wisdom and learning the Bible and learning the Torah, we get wisdom. We learn how to protect ourselves from spiritual death, from things that could get us in trouble on this earth. We are protected because wisdom tells us not to go with sinners. And we don't do it for anyone else. We do it for ourselves. We do it to save our own souls. So when we start getting understanding, we will prosper. We will know better. We will do what is right in the eyes of Yahuwah and what is morally right. It'll be the right thing when someone says, let's go steal or let's go do something evil. You're like, that's wrong. I shouldn't do that. Wisdom says not to do that. I know the Torah. And you will be protected from that. Whatever could happen to that person when he tries to steal. Somebody might fight him. Somebody might hurt him. And you did the right thing by not going with that person because you have wisdom. It says, do not steal in the Torah.
Verse 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall perish.
So basically, it just says that it's the exact same verse. We looked at this yesterday, and it's like only a few different words in this thing is almost the exact same. So it's very important. Solomon Shalom, he's very trying to get the point across here that if you lie, you will be punished. Yahuwah will punish you. He sees everything. He sees every thought. He sees every action. He knows everything you're going to do, and he sees these lies, and he will punish you for them. He's giving you a choice to lie or not. And when you lie, you are getting punished. You will be punished for your lies. You will be, and not if you don't, even if you don't get punished for life, you may get punished on life. But you still, even if you get punished, you have to account for it and say, yeah, yes, Father, I did that, and you must. When you sin, you must ask for repentance. And when you lie to someone, you need to tell them you're sorry. You lied to them, and go make it right with them. Because when you lie to someone, you break their trust. It's hard to trust people when you lie to them. Because you don't know if they're lying to you anymore. So if you let that one lie can break that person's trust, and they may never believe you ever again because you lied once. So do not lie to people.
Verse 10. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. The NIV says, it is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. How much worse for a slave to rule over princes?
So a fool should not live in luxury. Why? Because one, a fool is going to spend all of his things. He's not going to be wise with his materials. And for a servant to rule over a prince, a servant is not going to know how to rule over them. He's only going to know how to work. That's what a servant was meant to do, was to work in the kingdom, to do a certain task. But a prince was meant to rule over it, so it was not meant because he was not meant to do this. And he's saying that fools are not meant to rule over things. The people of foolish are not meant to rule over things. It's only when you obtain wisdom and you understand how to rule over something. And the princes of those days were understanding of the Torah. Because their father was writing the Torah, they were supposed to write the Torah every single day. They were supposed to write their own copy of it, so they knew what they were ruling with. They knew what their abilities were, how far their power reached, what they were limited to do, what they could and could not do. They knew these things, and so that's why it is not fitting for a fool or a servant to rule over a prince.
Verse 11. The discretion of man differs his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. The NIV says, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense.
So a man's wisdom has patience. When you have patience, you are going to have the Torah. You are going to love your neighbor as yourself. You are going to be willing to let the transgression go. You are not going to inflict wrath upon a person when they transgress against you. It says, and it's an adorning to pass over the transgression. It's just as Yahushua said, to turn the other cheek, to forgive your brother 70 times 7. Because it is better to forgive than to cause a deeper problem. If someone transgresses against you and is sorry for this thing and is willing to change their ways, is willing to change, then you don't need to make a problem out of it. You need to forgive. When the men slapped Yahusha, he didn't do anything. All he did was say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He's like, I could have sent legions of angels down if I wanted, but he didn't. He let the will of his Father happen. He showed an example that he loved his neighbor as himself and passed over the transgressions. They were inflicting self-harm on him.
Verse 12. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as dew upon the grass.
So, a sovereign's wrath is like the roaring of a lion, and we don't have quite the sovereign anymore, but we have the government. When the government roars over, you see problems happening, and you see things like that sort. But when they are delighted, it's like dew on the grass, and dew on the grass is a good thing. It shows there's fertility, that there's life, that there is freshness to it. There's something nice about dew on the grass. How about Yahuwah's wrath? Yahuwah's wrath, he is our sovereign. He's the sovereign of our souls and our lives. His wrath is going to be much worse than the roaring of a lion. That is why we must be continuing in the commands. We do not want to push his wrath to the point where he inflicts it on us, where he pushes the wrath on us. We want to have delight. We want him to delight in us through our works, through our Torah, through our actions, our words, and our deeds, and everything that we do.
And we can see that he said every time Yisrael would sin, he would send plagues, he would send them to captivity. His wrath was upon them. They got severely punished for years and years until they finally came back to the Torah. So if you guys don't want that wrath, stay in the Torah. Don't serve other mighty ones. Keep the Shabbat. Do not sin. Do as the Torah tells you to do, and don't do what it says not to do. So,
Verse 13. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and his contentions of the contentions of a woman are a continual dropping. The NIV says, a foolish child is a father's ruin, and a quarrelsome wife is like the constant dripping of a leaky roof.
So a leaky roof, it said a contentious wife. This can go for contentious husband as well, or a contentious family. When you have a contentious family, continually arguing, continually out of function, out of covenant and love, then it's like a continual dripping, and a continual dripping from a roof is a very annoying thing. When you have a leaking roof, it just drip, 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 and it's a very annoying thing. You don't want this. It's very tiresome to have a dripping roof, and that's what he's trying to get across here, saying the contentions of a wife or contentions of a husband is just a continual dripping. It's just a very hard thing to deal with.
Verse 14. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent woman is from Yahuwah. The NIV says, houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from Yahuwah.
So, riches and houses were inheritance because people would give inheritances to their children. They still do. There's still inheritance. People get wills and inheritance, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have an inheritance, to have something for your children. But it says an understanding wife is from Yahuwah. So a family in Yahuwah, a family that an understanding woman, you're not going to find outside of the Torah. It says from Yahuwah. Yahuwah blesses people with understanding spouses in the Torah, and that is something people are rushing to do, is to get married into these things. But you have to rely on Yahuwah to send the right person in your life, because you can pray for this person will appear out of nowhere, and you won't understand it. All you will know is that the hand of Yah is working in your life.
Verse 15. Slothfulness casts deep into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. The NIV says, laziness brings on a deep sleep, and the shiftless go hungry.
So here it says laziness, slothfulness will cause you to sleep. You'll go to sleep, and that's what you do. You'll be so lazy you won't work. And when you don't work, you will be hungry. Those who do not work do not eat. If you do not plant it, you do not eat it. So that's something that will happen if you are a lazy person. Now, for those who are adults, you guys make money. You guys can probably find jobs. And if you can't, there's other things. You could start planting fields, start planting a little garden, get a few pots, get some dirt, and plant stuff. Try to get some food for yourself and children. If you guys want to help out, if you want to help your family eat, you should help do the chores around the house. Help clean the house. Help around the house so your parents aren't so much of a burden trying to provide for you. It helps if you clean the house. It helps if you do your chores. It helps if you clean up after yourself so your parents don't have to, because after they have a long work day or they spend time working and trying to bring food to the table, it helps when you help them. It helps when you do the dishes. It helps when you clean the house. That's something we should be doing as teenagers, as children, as someone of that age that can't work and get money or bring food to the table. We can help our parents around the house, and that is how we do not be lazy. We can be diligent in the word of Yahuwah. Everyone can be. This for everyone. Everyone here can be diligent in the word of Yahuwah, and do not be lazy in the word of Yahuwah. Learn it and study it. Be diligent every single day, learning something new about His word.
Verse 16. He that guards the commandment guards his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall die. The NIV says, whoever keeps commandments keeps their life, but whoever shows contempt for their ways will die.
So for those who say the commands, and the commands are the Torah, those are the commands that were given. Those are the commands we are given. For those that say that the Torah is done away with, that it's abolished, that it's hung on the cross, or whatever the excuse is not to follow Torah, it says, you will die. It says, you who despises ways dies. You don't love your life. You don't guard your life. If you are hating His laws, that is just it's a hard word for a lot of people to hear, but it's true. There is no reason that you should ever hate Yahuwah's laws. You should be thriving in them, dwelling in them, walking them, doing them every single day with them on your hearts, minds, and souls. Because you know that's what right and wrong is. Without the Torah, you wouldn't know what right and wrong is. You wouldn't know that it's wrong to lie. And you may have the 10 Commandments, but that is only part of it. And if you're not keeping the Shabbat, you're still not keeping the full 10 Commandments. You're still not keeping the commands of our Creator.
Verse 17. He that has pity upon the poor lends unto Yahuwah, and that which he has given will he pay him again. The NIV says, whoever is kind to the poor lends to Yahuwah, and he will reward them for what they have done.
So here it says, if you help the poor, basically if you give money to the poor, you give food to the poor, You basically give it to Yahuwah. You loan it out to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah will repay you. Yahuwah gives it back to you. He blesses you. He blesses you in whatever. It could be whatever you need. He can bless you in. And when you might be the poor, but you can, if you have something else, you can always help someone else. And if you have nothing to give, you know what you can give? You can give the word Yahuwah. You can tell them what it's about. You can teach them the law. You can teach them the Torah. Tell them Yahuwah loves them. Yahuwah's looking out for them. Yehoshua died for their souls, and so that we have repentance, so that we can make the next life. Teach them that. Give them the word of life. Give them the bread of life. Something to spiritually eat, so they'll never spiritually hunger again. They'll never spiritually thirst again. Help them with this, so that they won't do it. If you have nothing else to give, that is the very best thing you can give. But if you can give something else, you give it to Yahuwah. You are giving it to Yahuwah. Yahuwah loves the poor. Yahuwah is there for the poor. He always is watching out for the poor people, and if you are helping them, Yahuwah watches out for you.
Verse 18. Chasten your son while there is hope. Let not your soul spare for his crying. The NIV says, discipline your children, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death.
So parents, unfortunately, as hard as it is, terrible as it may be, you have to discipline your children. You have to teach them the errors of their ways, or they are going to continually make these mistakes, or they're going to grow up in sin, just like the Israelites did when they obviously were not chastised. They obviously not chastised their children, and they went into slavery so many times because they did not change their ways. So you have to chastise them, even if it hurts, even if you don't want to. You have to teach them the error of their ways, and that's a very hard word. That's a very hard thing, especially when you love someone like your children. You love someone that you watch over, that you've raised. It's a hard word, but you have to do it. It is something, if you love them, you're going to teach them the path. You're going to keep them on the path.
Verse 19. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if you deliver him, yet you must do it again. The NIV says, a hot-tempered person must pay the penalty. Rescue them, and you will have to do it again.
So we have someone that's a hot-tempered person. A hot-tempered person is going to get into a lot of fights. It's going to get into a lot of problems. And there are going to be people you're going to find that are always itching for a fight, that are angry, that want to fight, that want to cause problems. And when it says if you rescue them, if you do it, you're going to just do it again. It's like you have to fix the problem. You cannot just keep going in and saving them and stopping it, because you're going to end up with the same problems. You're going to end up in the problems they are, because you are part of that person's life.
Verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter end. The NIV says, listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise.
So this is for the children. Like we talked about, the parents have to discipline you. When you are disciplined by your parent, and they give you that talk, they talk to you, and they explain to you what you did wrong and you better apply it to your life. Change has listen to it, accept the discipline. Don't look at it as something that is evil. Look at it as something that is making you better. It says you will be counted among the wise if you take this and you use this in your life.
Verse 21. There are many devices in a man's heart, nevertheless the counsel of Yahuwah that shall stand. The NIV says, many are the plans to a person's heart, but it is Yahuwah's purpose that prevails.
So it says that man has a lot of plans in his heart. We each plan our day out. We each have many plans. But it's really up to Yahuwah what happens to our daily lives. Every single day, Yahuwah chooses. He already has the plan set out for us. We might set up our days, and we might be able to go to work at this time, go home at this time, cook dinner, go to bed. But Yahuwah has a true plan. You might not make it to work that day. Something might happen. You might have a flat tire, and you might miss getting hit by the semi-trucks going down the road. And you're like, wow, I was saved because Yahuwah saved me, even though my plan didn't work out. Yahuwah's plan truly worked out. So Yahuwah's plans are always trump your plans, whatever your plans are. If they're not in coordination with Yahuwah's, then Yahuwah will save your life. He will get you out of whatever there is, and He will make sure you are on the straight and narrow path. Because if you have a plan to go and sin, Yahuwah wants that plan. He wants you to be on the straight and narrow path. So He might have to punish you, and you might have to take it down a little rough road, and then get back on that straight and narrow path.
So, and that's where we go back to the verse number 2, where it talks about wanting something without understanding, desiring something without understanding is not good, because Yahuwah has His plans where you have to lean on Yahuwah's path, so that your paths are aligned, so that you have Yahuwah's will in your life, so that you are not doing your own thing, and Yahuwah has to force you back through a trial or a tribulation back onto His will.
Verse 22. The desire of a man is his kindness, a poor man is better than a liar. The NIV says, what a person desires is unfailing love, better to be poor than a liar.
So I'm going to read that in mind, because it makes much more sense when you read it from a different version. It says, what is desirable in a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. So here we go again. It says, a kind man is what's desirable. What is desirable is kindness. Having kindness is desirable, and it's true. When you have someone that's kind, you like that kindness that someone gives. It's a very desirable feature you have in your life, very desirable part of you when you are kind. Most people aren't kind. The world is cold, the world is dark, and it can be our jobs to save the world with our kindness. We must show love Yahushua. That's what we're told to do. We're told to go feed the sheep, and part of that is showing love to people that are broken, people that are hurt, that their hearts are broken, that they're cold, and they've shoved out any form of love. You can be the person to show that by kindness, through kindness. And here also it says a poor person is better than a liar, and that's where it goes, where poor people, it's better to be poor than a liar that has anything, because Yahuwah is going to punish the liars. Again, Solomon here obviously is trying to make a point where he's saying don't be a liar. When he repeats it over and over through several different verses here, he says don't be a liar. Lying is not going to get anywhere good in life.
Verse 23, the fear of Yahuwah tends to life, and he that has it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. The NIV says, the fear of Yahuwah leads to life, then one rests content, untouched by trouble.
Alright, so it says here, the fear of Yahuwah is life, right? It tends life, it protects life. When you tend to an animal, you help it, you make it better, you clean him, you keep him safe, and that's what Yahuwah does when you do it. And Yahuwah, the evil punishments from Yahuwah will not be upon you. You will not be touched by that kind of evil when you are following his Torah, you're following his law. You will be blessed. You will be that kind of person. You will be safe from the troubles that the world has to go through, of the punishments of evil, because they are sinning. But you won't do that if you are guarding Yahuwah's commandment, if you are being tended by Yahuwah, if you are being shepherded by Yahuwah.
Verse 24, a slothful man hides his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. The NIV says, a sluggard buries his hand in the dish, and will not even bring it back to his mouth.
So, and I'm going to read out of mine. A lazy one buries his hand in his dish and does not bring it back to his mouth. So we have something here that's like, if you put your hand in your dish and you don't bring it back, you're going to starve to death. You're going to starve because you're not eating. If you're so lazy you won't eat, you're going to die of starvation. And that's what he's trying to get across here through another couple of verses. Like, don't be lazy and don't be a liar. You have to work to eat. That is a fact of life, is you have to work to eat. Adam, when he was kicked out of the garden, even when he was in the garden, he was tilling the land for his food. That was his job, was to be a farmer. You have to work to eat.
Verse 25, smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that has understanding, and he will understand knowledge. The NIV says, flog a mocker, and the simple will learn prudence. Rebuke the discerning, and they will gain knowledge.
And mine says, beat a scoffer, and the simple is made wise, and reprove one who has understanding, and he discerns knowledge. So if you beat a scoffer, someone that is scoffing, if you beat someone that has evil speak, it says someone will be made wise. There are people, the simple is made wise, because there's no one holding them back anymore. When there's someone in a group of people that is bringing everyone down, when that person's taken out, you see the rest of the people thrive. And that's what we're trying to get out here, is that sometimes you have to get rid of the people that are holding the others back. When there are scoffers, and there's evil, and there's toxicity in people that are trying to gain spiritual growth through Yahuwah, and they're holding them back through their evil words, that person must go. That person needs to leave the group so that he does not continue holding these people back from what Yah's plans are. You have to get rid of the people. It's just like Judas. He was toxic towards the end. He was hateful towards other people trying to thrive, and in the end, he ended up dying by his own hand.
Verse 26, he that waits his father and chases away his mother is a son that causes shame and brings reproach. The NIV says, whoever robs their father and drives out their mother is a child who brings shame and disgrace.
Alright, I'm going to read this out of mine. He who plunders a father, chases away his mother, is a son causing shame and bringing reproach. So if you are plundering your parents, if you're taking what they have, if you are destroying them, vexing their souls, one, you're a terrible person. These are the people that raise you. You should not be doing this to them. These people love you. They raise you. They have brought you this far into life where you are at now, listening to this reading we have here. Don't do that. He says you're causing shame. It's a terrible thing. It's a hurtful thing to see someone's family members they have known their entire lives turn their backs to them and destroy them, try and destroy them from the inside. There's other battles to fight. There is other wars to fight, and you should be standing by the side of your family, by the side of your parents, helping them in their battles. You should not be being one of their problems, causing them pain and causing them stress.
Verse 27, cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes to err from the words of knowledge. The NIV says, "Stop listening to instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge."
So if you stop listening to instruction, if you leave what is instruction, you say you'll stray from the words of knowledge. If you don't hear from discipline, if you don't accept discipline, if you turn your back on it, become a stiff-necked Yisraelite, you're going to stray. You're going to end up with the people of Moab. You're going to end up in sin. You're going to end up like the prodigal son, wanting to eat the pig's food, the nasty food that he was feeding them. You're going to end up like that. He's saying you're going to go off the path of righteousness when you stop listening to discipline, because you always can learn something. You can always be better. And if you turn that off, you are going to get worse. You are going to become worse in your life. You are going to think you are the best. And that's where the pride comes before the fall, because if you think that you are you can't sin or you can't be changed at all, then that's where pride comes before the fall, because you will find yourself wanting the pig's food when you're hungry.
Verse 28, "An evil witness scorns judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity." The NIV says, "A corrupt witness mocks at justice, and the mouth of the wicked gulps down evil."
So it says that the witness of Bible scorn right ruling. People that hate truth, people that hate speaking truth, are people that hate right ruling. They hate the Torah because the Torah is telling them not to lie. And here we go again with, I think this is the 5th time now he's mentioned, don't be a liar, that lying is bad. People that speak witness of Belial, Belial means wickedness. A witness of wickedness is evil. It's a thing. He's trying to get across such an important point where you have to tell the truth no matter what the circumstance. You always need to tell the truth.
Verse 29, "Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools." The NIV says, "Penalties are prepared for mockers, and beatings for the backs of fools."
So this could be on earth or in heaven or in the Shamayim or in the kingdom to come. There's judgments ready. Yahuwah has judgments ready, especially for the people that speak lies, that breathe out lies. They're not going unpunished. He says there's always things ready, but that also means there's also rewards ready. There's also blessings ready. There's also things that come from Yahuwah of good for those who are good, who are righteous. That is what he has in store. He is ready. He is not turning a blind eye. He is always watching. He knows what's going on at all times. All right. Well, that was Proverbs 19. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any questions, please let them know. We are going to see if anybody has anything to say before we sign off. But again, if you have any prayers, requests, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. We will be getting back to you as soon as we possibly can. We usually respond in video form. That way we can all talk about it. That way it's not usually one person that responds. We can all talk about it and go over it as a team, as a family, and the Telegram group. If you guys would like to join, please do. We are working on some new things. We're figuring out some kind of international style things where we have different languages reading the Torah and things of that sort. So we're looking into that. So if you guys want to join the Telegram group, please feel free to. It's in the description. And thank you guys so much.
Or Pup, thank you very much. Yah bless you too, and shalom. Have a great evening or morning wherever you're at.
All right, guys. That is it. We will be signing off, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's preparation day, and we will go over that in the video. All right.
All right.
Shalom, everyone.